Good morning. How's everybody? Good? All right. Y'all are still in the dark. All right. There we go. Man, are you happy to be here today? Are you expecting something? See, the problem we have is if we come to church and we don't expect anything. And so usually you get exactly what you came for. Which if you came expecting nothing, you'll probably leave with that. But here's for you guys who came expecting. This morning, if you came here and you want God to do something amazing in your life, today is the day that He's going to do that. We're starting a new series today. Did you guys like Sun Stand Still? Was it helpful? Hopefully you're encouraged. Hopefully you're motivated. Hopefully you feel like you can conquer the world. But this week I want to start a series. It's called Dream to Destiny. And what it's about is about how to take, and literally there's these processes that we all go through, and they're tests really that we have to pass before we can move into the destiny God has for us. So for the last month or so, we've been talking about dreams and about what God wants to do in us. But this next month or two, I want to talk about how God is going to do that in you. How you're going to move in the next couple of months from just having a dream to starting to walk out what it means to live in your destiny. And you guys ready for that? Do you want to move? Are you excited about that? Well, what I want to encourage you to do is there's a book called Dream to Destiny written by Robert Morris. He's a pastor at Gateway Church. Now, I'm stealing his titles. I'll just be right up front. And I'm going to give him credit. I'm going to steal his titles. But this book is a great book. And if you want to get it and you want to read through it and you want to follow along, Michelle, we have a picture of the cover, I thought. Did we not get it? Oh, never mind. You can get it pretty much anywhere, but what it is, it'll be a great resource for you to outside of Sunday morning and outside of being here, it'll be a great resource for you to go through. How many of you guys have read it? Anybody in here read it? It's an awesome book. So I encourage you to do that to supplement this series. But today I want to talk to you about how to get started in the Dream to Destiny. And I'm going to be covering basically the life of Joseph in this series and the destiny of Joseph. But as we get going today, the first test is a test that we love. It's our favorite test of all. It's the pride test. No, don't sound as excited now as you were. How many of you guys deal with pride issues? And everybody who didn't raise their hand lied about it. It's something that we all deal with. So today, man, I'm going to hopefully show you how to deal with it, and maybe even to where you can recognize it in your life. A lot of issues in dealing with pride is that we don't know what it is and don't know how to recognize it. So I want to get started. If you got a Bible or you got your phone, I'm going to be in Genesis chapter 37. And I'm going to be in a New Living Translation, and I'm going to start reading in verse 5. So if you want to read along, you want to make some notes, and we're just going to get started in this series, and we'll see what happens this morning. One night, Joseph had a dream and promptly reported the details to his brothers, causing them to hate him even more. Joseph had this problem. He was born in his father's late ages of his life, and so he was a very special son. And because he was a special son, his brothers hated him. They just despised him. And they felt like he was the favorite, which he was. Jacob had favor on Joseph. And they really, it says in verse 4 that they couldn't say a kind word to him. That's how much they despised him. Well, he has this dream and he tells them, and it caused them to hate him even more. And he said, so in verse 6, so listen to the dream he announced. We were out in the field tying up bundles of grain, and my bundle stood up, and your bundles all gathered around and bowed down low before it. Awesome. That's the way you make friends. So they said, so you're going to be our king, because they knew what it meant to bow down. They knew what it meant to pray to or to lay down before. They knew that meant authority or kingship or lordship over. So he says, so you're going to be our king, are you? His brothers taunted, and they hated him all the more for his dream and what he had said. Then Joseph had another dream, and he told his brothers about it. Listen to this dream, he said. The sun and the moon and 11 stars bowed low before me. This time he told his father as well as his brothers, and his father rebuked him. What do you mean, his father asked? Will your mother, your brothers, and I actually come and bow down before you? But while his brothers were jealous of Joseph, his father gave it some thought and wondered what it all meant. Okay, Joseph's this 17-year-old kid. His brothers are all older. He's the youngest of all of his brothers. His father's in his old age, and the youngest brother comes out and he tells all the other people, hey, guess what's going to happen? Guess what? I had this dream, this vision, that you would all bow down before me. Now, here's the thing. This is the start. This is the pride test. This is where the dream to destiny all gets cranked up. And the thing is, we can never start moving from dream to destiny until we pass the pride test. And it's one that kills us. It's one that keeps most of us from never even going into what our dreams are. How many of you guys think you have a God dream, a God vision for your life? You feel like God has purposed you for something in this world. I think most of us, I know that all of us, God has purposed something in us that makes us want to live, want to have more life than we currently have. I think God is moving all of us from a dream to a destiny. He's destined each one of us for a perfect plan that He's created us for. And the thing is, most of us don't realize it because we haven't even given it much thought. We're just in survival mode. We just got to if we can just make it, if we can just exist, if we can just get by, if we can just hang on, if we can just not go down, we're okay. But that's not really what God has for you. And listen to me, I don't care how old you are or how young you are. The disciples started when they were 13 years old. Man, God used Abraham way past 18. How you like that? He was 100 years old when he had his kid. It was that God chooses to use people. And listen to me, this is important. You grasp this. God does not have a time clock. He isn't bound by time and space. God doesn't conform to time. And so you may think right now, I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 60, I'm 70, I'm 80, I've wasted it, I missed it, I don't have any purpose, there's no way I can fulfill, there's no way I can start this dream to destiny. My destiny was set, and I've lived my life, and it was all right, it was good. Listen to me, if you're doing this right now, you have a destiny. If you are breathing today, you have a destiny. God has more for you. Now, you can settle and you can stop at any time. But God has more for you. You don't have to settle for life as it is at this moment. God has a destiny for you. But the rules are the same. The rules are the same. It doesn't matter if you're 13 and it doesn't matter if you're 96. The rules still apply. They're God's laws and they apply to all of us equally. You don't get special treatment because you're 12. And you don't get the senior discount. Okay? And I'm telling you, man, 16 and 65, we both are just as hard-headed. At 16, you can't be told anything, and at 65, you can't be told anything. Right? At 42, man, you're just a sponge. No, we're not. We're all hard-headed. But what I'm saying is that we all have to stop, take account, and hear from God. We all have to pass, no matter how young or how old, we have to start with the pride test. We have to start with the pride test. Now, What is the pride test? What is pride? This is really important. I want you guys, if you got a pencil or pen or something, or if you're taking notes on your phone, I want you to write this down. Pride. What pride is. Pride is seeking the attention of man. Pride, a lot of you think pride is being boastful, being loud, being forceful, being aggressive, being a big mouth. It is. But pride is also, woe, poor, pitiful me. I can't do anything. Look how sad I am, to draw the attention of man. See, we find ourselves, a lot of us find ourselves in pride, and some of us call it humility, but all it is pitiful. It's not humility. Write this down. Humility is seeking the attention of God. Humility is us seeking the attention of God. Pride is us seeking the attention or approval of man. So I want to look at Joseph. Now, at first glance, Joseph's statements come off as very prideful, right? I go to my older brothers who don't like me. I had this awesome dream. And I go and I tell them, hey, guess what? All you who hate me, guess what? I had a dream. You're bowing down to me. No, that don't go over with older brothers, right? I can see my little brother coming up and going, hey, I had this dream. You and my older brother are going to bow down to me. We'll bow down to you right now. It wouldn't have worked. It didn't go down that way. But it was, and that's the point. That's the exact point. Every little how many little brothers in here? Little brothers, little sisters? Okay, you know this up front, right? And this is common knowledge. This is the ways of life. We already know this. Okay, especially in this culture, his second dream is what really sets it off, because his second dream says the sun, the moon, and the stars all bow down before me. And he tells who? He tells his father. Okay, now in our culture, that may not mean much. But in this culture, in the culture that he was living in, for the youngest son, especially of the family, which was the heir to nothing, because it went to the oldest and then down the line, to the youngest son who was the heir to nothing, to come before his father and say, hey, Dad, I had this dream that you and Mom and all my brothers bowed down to me. Okay. They knew that would not be a smart move. This wasn't a prideful attitude. To me, this was the most humble thing you could possibly do. Now, I know it may look like it on the surface if we play it out, but think about this. God had given Joseph a dream. Joseph had a choice. He could either have the approval of his brothers and try to win them over, and this wouldn't be the way to do it, or he could obey God. And he could tell them what God's dream is. He had a dream. He had a choice. He could go and he could tell his father that he had this dream and seeking the approval of God. Or he could keep it to himself and just walk in the good grace. He could please his father. Now, he knew the options. One was to please God. The other was to please. Now, why did he need to tell them? Okay, if you read the rest of Genesis, and I hope you will over this time, if you read the rest of this story, what happens at the end if Joseph never had told anybody about this dream? Well, then Joseph becomes a hero. And he builds Joseph's kingdom, and it's all about Joseph. But because he starts out with a God vision, a vision given to him by God, and he tells his vision, and he shares his vision, and he speaks out what God had shown him in his dream. Now, as it plays out, when we see the end result, there's only one person who can get credit for this. It's God working all of these things out. It's God working these things out in Joseph's life. It's God taking Joseph on his journey from dream to destiny. Now, this was the pride test. Now, a lot of people may say Joseph failed the pride test. And the next week we're going to have the pit test. But this week we're talking about the pride test. And a lot of people say Joseph failed the pride test and ended up in the pit. I say Joseph passed the pride test and ended up on the pathway to destiny. That's what I believe. I believe with all of my heart it went according to God's plan because Joseph passed the initial pride test. Because our destiny journey doesn't start until we pass the pride test, okay? It's really important that we get this. As long as our dreams are about us, listen to me. As long as our dreams are about us, we cannot start this journey. As long as your dreams are about you and about glorifying you and about people around you noticing you and about getting attention and drawing attention to you, you can't start the journey. You're in pride. You're failing the pride test. Humility is a hard thing, doing and being who God says I am without regard to what people say or think around me. That's a hard way to live. Because a lot of times you're like, how can I ever do anything great for God if people don't like me or if people don't respect me or if people won't follow me? I need to do what the people think I ought to do. Well, go ahead. And you'll keep doing that for long periods of time. Man, in my life, I've had so many times where I failed the pride test. Where I've got this big thing that I thought God wanted me to do. And I start, and then I'm like trying to keep all the people on the bus. Like, oh man, they're mad about this and they're upset about that and they don't like this and they wish we were doing that. And so I'm running around and I'm constantly like putting one in this seat. Now I have to run back here and I get this one back in this seat. I run back over here and get this. And I spend all this time and all of a sudden we're not going anywhere. We're not on the path to destiny. We're still loading the bus. Because the pride test says we got to please all the passengers on the bus. But that's not God's plan. God don't say get everybody on the bus, get them in the right seats, get them buckled in. God says, here's what I want you to do. I want you to get on the bus and I want you to drive. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring people along and they're going to get on the bus with you. And that is where the thing starts because I start caring more about who God is and what God says than what I'm doing and who's with me. A lot of times, man, we never get our destiny started because, and this happens all the time. I have people come to me all the time. Man, I'm going to do this great thing for God. It's going to be awesome. And I'm like, all right, go do it. And they're like, you're not going to do it with me? Well, I thought God wanted you to do it. What you're saying is you got this good idea that you want me to do for you. Well, that destiny is going nowhere. And that's not a God dream. Listen to me, man. I want to get this idea of our dreams down. I really feel like most of our dreams are fantasies. I feel like they're fantasies. God's dreams for our lives, they look more like this. God put a dream in my heart for influence. God put a dream in my heart to bring peace. God put a dream in my heart to bring joy to the world. We get this idea, well, God put in my heart to become president. I doubt that. I'll be honest, I doubt. Because reading the whole Bible as a whole, I see that God is way more interested in who we are than what we do. God is so much more, He cares so much more about our character than our accomplishments. He cares more that we represent Christ, that we represent the character of Christ, than that we grow a great church, or that we have thousands of people, or that we write books, or that we win awards. He really isn't into that. He really isn't into that. He's into us bringing the realities of the kingdom of heaven, His kingdom, to this world. That's what He's about. And our dreams, if our dreams aren't lining up along the idea of bringing His kingdom and advancing His kingdom, then our dreams are probably fantasies. They're probably fantasies. And what happens with fantasies is we plug in pride and we start working to achieve them. And it starts to kill us. Because there's nothing more frustrating. There's nothing that kills you faster than working hard as you can work and giving everything that you are to something that becomes nothing. I've done it. I spent my whole life becoming something. I spent my whole life being who I thought that I should be. I spent my whole life trying to become, trying to elevate, to raise up, trying to get ahead. This concept of getting ahead is the craziest thing in the world. The head of what? My wife, man, she's always going to get ahead. Okay, she does everything on Sunday so she gets ahead for Monday. And I'm like, ahead of what? It's still Monday. I mean, she got these tasks done, but really, are we ever getting ahead? Now, I'm like, well, if it happens, it happens, so I'm always a day behind. So, like, what I needed to get done yesterday didn't get done. So that's why we work well together. We always meet right on the day we're supposed to. Because I'm a day behind, she's a day ahead, and we end up right there when we need to be. But you know how frustrating it is to pour, I mean, let's get real, to pour tons of money, tons of time, tons of energy, tons of things you can't get back into something that just turns into nothing. Or even worse, something that steals and kills and destroys your life. Something that you had a fantasy that it would make your life into something, and when it turns out and when it ends up, man, it's nothing. I hear people all the time, if I could only get a new job, if I could only get, if I could only get out of jail, if I could only get a new wife, if I could only get new kids, if I could only get here, listen to me. If you cannot find the peace of God in your current circumstance, you will never find it in what you think your dream is. If you can't find the peace of God, if you can't find joy in your current circumstance, changing your circumstance will never allow you to achieve it. All you're dealing with is a pride issue. You're dealing with a pride issue that I can somehow change my circumstance, that I can make my circumstance better. And in dealing with that pride issue, that we end up achieving some things and finding out that they just cause more troubles than we ever signed on for. A lot of people say, well, this is good, man. I really need to deal. I got some pride issues and I need to deal with pride issues. And so we're going to go to work and we're going to start hacking at the pride tree and we're going to cut down this pride tree and we're going to try to get pride out of our life. But here's the thing. Pride is a symptom. I need you to understand this. The pride we're talking about is just like running a fever. When you get sick, running a fever is not the problem. It's the indicator that something else is out of whack, right? Fever is never the problem. We got to get to the cause. Well, pride is an indicator that should spring up, and it should be evident to us and to everybody around us. If you don't think you've got pride issues, ask anybody around you. And the thing is, they're going to be scared to answer, and that ought to tell you right there. They're going to go, well, and you're going to go, no, you can be honest. And they're going to go, I'm not sure. And it's going to take like 30 minutes to no, spit it out, please. And then they're going to just vomit on you. It's just going to come out, and this is going to keep coming, and you're going to go, well, I didn't know I was that messed up. You mean I'm that bad? Well, yeah. Yeah, you are. But then that we know, okay, we know we've got a problem, but I'm telling you that that's not your problem. Pride is a symptom of a deeper problem. Pride is a symptom of fear. Pride comes, it's rooted in, and it sprouts up out of fear and insecurity. And the more fearful and the more insecure, the more heavily driven in pride you are. It's a lack of not understanding who I am and what my function is in life and in this world. And so what we do is as we get more afraid, as we get more fearful, we get more prideful. The more I fear rejection, the more I close down, and the more I try to grab hold, and the more I try to take hold. The more I become more dominating and more controlling and more boastful. When I don't think people are noticing me, I'm going to get louder or sicker, or hurter, or needier, or more aggressive, or more dominating, or whatever it is. However you deal with rejection, however you deal with being noticed. And we get more afraid, and then we get fear of rejection, so we start to dominate and control and manipulate, and we start to do all these things that are all pride-based. They're all about the attention of men. When the cure for fear is the love of God. Dr. Caroline Leaf came here and talked, and she's got a book, Who Switched Off My Brain. And the teaching in there is that we're only wired up for two emotions. One is love and one is fear. And that love is the dominant emotion. That fear isn't natural. But it comes in and it starts to cause all of these issues in our lives. It's a really great book, and I suggest, you read it and you go through it and study it. But what the roots of fear that we have is we look at them and they're disguised as all these different things. Look, if you deal with really being aggressive, anger issues, the problem isn't anger issues, the problem is fear. If you're dealing with pride, like you just have to be seen and heard, you have to know everything. You feel like when you're in a room, man, nobody's paying attention to you. It's a fear. And so what do? You do anything to make the room come and draw attention to you because you need to secure yourself that you are somebody. And so it's all rooted from a fear, and mostly a fear of rejection, a fear of not being seen, loved, heard, known. I need people to see me. I need people to know who I am. Man, you see it all the time in the corporate world. People always are like, I'm over 400 people. Well, I'm over 500 people, and it's like, I have, and pastors are the worst. It's like, our church is 300. Dude, your church ain't 300 square feet. I always tell them, and this is not good either, but when they ask me, how many you running out there? I said, I don't know, about 100 more than y'all. I just like to jack with people, I don't know how many anybody's running. I don't really care. It's like, but that really makes them think about it. They're like, I don't know why I told you that. See, I got issues too. The thing is, though, we're always needing to be known. I go to pastors' conferences, and it's the craziest environment you'll ever be in because there's always somebody there who's known. They're on the stage, or they're a name, they're somebody. And there's these guys who are like little sucker fish. And man, they're always around. Like, these guys can't even walk. There's people just around them, and they're always trying to be associated with somebody bigger. And so they'll be with this guy, and then somebody bigger will walk by, and they're like, that's Franklin Graham. They're over here. Then it's like, that's Todd's story. And they're back over here. No, I'm just kidding. But it's that kind of environment. And it's pastors. It's pastors. Now, if we deal with this all the time, then how much more does everybody else? How much more do our people, the sheep we're leading, the flocks we're supposed to be seen over, how much more are we all dealing with this insecurity, this need to be known, this need to be seen and heard and noticed? Well, it's a fear. The Bible says this, so it says, perfect love casts out all fear. See, the cure to the pride issue and the passing of the pride test comes down to one thing. Do you know who you are in Christ? Some of you don't even know what that statement means. But until we get secure that I am redeemed, resurrected, and born again by the blood and in the name of Jesus Christ as my Savior and the Lord over my life, and nothing else matters. See, you guys' opinion of whether I'm doing it right or not is irrelevant. Because I only answer to one, and my question is this where you have me right now? And as long as the answer to that question is yes, then nothing else matters. And you say, wow, that's pretty arrogant, Todd. Yours is the same. You have to only answer one question. You don't have to ask if I'm doing it right. You don't have to ask, is this church meeting your needs? You don't have to, all that's pride. You just have to answer one question. Is this where you have me right now? Is this where you have me right now? Because if this is where God has you right now, then your identity is secure in where God has you and who God says you are. You're my child and I have you here. That's all you need to know. That's all you really need to know. Because if you can answer yes to that question, I'm a child of God and He has me here, then where you're at right now is where God has you for your destiny. You are destined to do something from where you're at. God's not going to say, go over here and I'll destine you from there. I can never get you to your destiny from here. You're jacked up there. You need to go over there and start. Well, no. You start from right where God has you. So what we've got to find is this where God has me? And if the answer to that question is yes, then I have to ask you something else. Why aren't you all in? And if the answer is no, then why aren't you all in where He does have you? See, this is an all-in question. You want to solve the issue of fear? There's one solution to it. Y'all want it? Anybody want the solution on how to conquer fear in your life? And I'm not talking about just feeling better. I'm talking about, do you want to overcome fear in your life? Do you want to crush pride in your life today? One statement. I'm all in. I don't know everything there is about God. I don't understand the redemption of Jesus. But all I know is I'm all in. You do that, you make Jesus Lord of your life. I'm talking about being all in with Jesus. This playing at Christianity and playing at the world crap, it's going to kill you. It's going to rob you. It's going to keep you in insecurity. It's going to keep you in pride. One problem is nobody knows who you are because you don't know who you are. So as long as you don't know who you are, there's a billion people out there that want to tell you who you are. And guess what they're going to tell you? You are whatever they need you to be today. I praise Jesus that I don't have to be who you need me to be. I couldn't live up to it, guys. I'm a mere mortal. Some of you know me, like, yeah, if you need me to be something to fix your life, ask around. Ask around. I will never fix your life. But who you are in God, who you are in Jesus, That's who you have to be. See, when I'm secure in who I am in Christ, I have total peace. I don't have to prove anything to anyone. I don't have to come out here on Sunday and perform to keep my job. Guess what? You don't have to tomorrow either. You can leave here today totally free from pride, from fear, from all of the issues in your life where you feel like you need to be somebody. But it comes down to making a choice. I made that choice a long time ago, and that choice was, God, I'm all in. I'm all in. I wrote a song about it not too long after that, and it's called The Answer Is Yes. And the point of the song was that it didn't matter what the question was, because when you're all in, the answer is yes. When you're all in, Jesus says to do something and you say, yes, I'm all in. I'm all in. What separated the prophets in the Old Testament out from everybody else, they were all in. They knew. They weren't stupid. They had the writings of the other prophets. They knew how it ended. They knew it ended with their head in a basket. They knew it ended being killed, stoned, burned, whatever it was. But they were still all in. I love the way Paul said it. He said, I don't live to please people. I only have to please God. He was talking to Thessalonians, man, and he was really kind of hammering them because he had been in prison and been beaten, and then he had to come there and scold them. And he said, don't think I'm here to run a popularity contest. I'm going to tell you what God says to tell you, because I'm not here to please you. I'm here to please Him. If we would get that idea in our lives, man, you want to know how to love unconditionally? Live your life to please God. Then the people in your life who are the hardest to love, the people in your life who have wronged you, who have been mean to you, who have done horrible things to you, when you get secure with who you are, you can let those things go. Because it's pride that keeps you from being able to forgive. Because I have to control, I have to dominate, you have to make it about you. Just got to say, I'm all in. I'm all in. You know, I'm tired of playing in the world and on Sundays at church. Todd, I'm all in. I'm all in. I'm tired of being angry all the time. I'm tired of being bitter all the time. I'm tired of having to feel like I need to control and dominate my family. I'm tired of feeling like I have to control and dominate my friendships. I'm tired of feeling like I have to control and dominate everything in my life. I'm tired of feeling like I have to do stupid things to get attention, to get people to notice me. If you're tired of it, man, I'm telling you today, you can leave here free. Go all in. Go all in. Well, Todd, that's going to cost me. I can't go all in because I'm doing this and this and this in my life. Well, then stay halfway in. And stay just like you are. Or not. Make a choice. Being all in for Jesus, being all in for God, giving your life fully to Him. Guys, it's the pride test. It's the first test. If you ever want your life to become anything other than what it is right now, you got to get past that one. This is the all-in test. When Joseph went to his father, I guarantee you he thought that out. And he knew how it was going to play out. And I guarantee you that he told God, I'm all in. And God said, then tell your father, tell your brothers your dreams. Share it. Share your dreams. Share your vision. Share what God has shown you. But it's going to cost me everything. It will. But what do you really have anyway? I mean, somebody lied to you and told you your stuff's yours. Somebody lied to you and said your kids are yours. Somebody lied to you and told you your friends were yours. Your lives are not yours. Your lives are not yours. In 1 Peter chapter 5, I can't even find Peter. Somewhere in this bunch of stuff. In 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 5, it says this: God sets himself against the proud. Now, let me ask you a question. How bad are you? I mean, how tough are you? How strong are you? How much can you take? How much can you persevere? Enough for God to be against you? I mean, I know a lot of people that I could be enemies with, that we could butt heads and not get along. But God seems to be one of those people I don't want that kind of relationship with. I don't want to go through my life going, God has set himself against me. Now, I know that I can fail, and I know that I can disappoint God, and I know that I can be disciplined by God. That's fine. Discipline is not having God set himself against you. Do you understand what it means to have the creator of the universe set himself against you? Go ahead and come up with your own plan and you'll see what that feels like. Go ahead and get your own idea of what you're going to become, what you're going to do. Well, I've always wanted to be a doctor. I've always wanted to be a lawyer. I've always wanted to be a fireman. I've always wanted to be a policeman. I've always wanted to do this and that. You know what? You might ought to ask God if that's okay. Because your plans and his plans, if they don't line up, then that's a pride issue. Your plans are your pride. It's who you want to become. It's who you want to be known as. And God will set himself against you. Now, you think it's hard to achieve something in this world? Go ahead and put God against it. It increases the difficulty level by 10 million. But it says this, then it goes on, it says, but God gives his grace to the humble. Which means that when I'm doing it under God's will, for God, and it's about God, then he gives his grace. And grace is God's ability to do in us what we're unable to do on our own. That means you don't even have to be able to do what God's asking you to do. He's going to do it through you. Now, which sounds easier? We've got to find our identity in God. We've got to know who we are. We've got to become secure in God in us, in God's plan for us. Does that make sense? Here's what I want to do this morning. I just want to pray over you. But, this is the but clause. Don't you hate it when I do that? You thought I was going to get out of here easy. Man, it's early, Todd. He's going to get out of here. It's awesome. Cowboys play at noon. That's cool, but all you got to do is this one thing. Listen to me. I'm going to ask you something very, very seriously this morning. Are you all in? Are you all in? And I'm not talking about I'm in 75%. I'm not talking about I'm all in except for my buddies. I like to go out with them one night a week, guys' night out. I'm not talking about I'm all in, but we're going to get married. I'm not talking about I'm all in, but if you got an I'm all in but, that sounded funny. I'm an all in but. I know some of y'all are. No, if you got an all in but anything else, that means you're not all in, because my definition of all means all. It's all. And what I think God was really last night, man. I did one of those Jacob things where I wrestled with God all night, and I don't like those nights because I'm very tired the next day. But what God was pushing me to was say, you know what? It's time for people to stand up and be all in if they're going to be all in. And listen to me. If you're not all in yet, that's cool. Okay, I'm not, there's no condemnation. I'm not condemning you. I'm not saying you're an evil, bad person. You just hadn't tasted enough pain. You hadn't had enough failure. You hadn't partied it on out yet. Well, party it on out till you rock bottom. That's what I did. I just drove it till I hit rock bottom. But listen to me, you don't have to hit rock bottom. Ask me and ask anybody else, man, there is a rock bottom. And it's not the best of life. You don't have to go there. But this morning, I think it's time to stand up and be all in. So here's what I want you to do. If you're all in this morning, this is a bold commitment. Now listen, it's also a pride test. Because if you're not all in, but you're coming up here because somebody else might think you're not all in, what is pride? It's caring about what the people around you think. You're only here to deal with this question with one person. And that's God. Right? So I don't care what your husband, wife, kid, brother, mother, whatever thinks. I don't care. I'm asking you, between you and God, right here, right now, are you all in? Are you all in? Are you ready to commit everything you are and everything you will ever be and all of your plans and all of your future hopes and dreams? God has a plan for you, and it's a perfect plan. I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. My plans for you are beyond what you can ever hope, dream, or imagine. No eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind can conceive the good things I have for those who love me and are called according to my purpose for you. Those who come according to my purpose. Those who want to walk in my plans and my destiny for you. Those who say, that's it, man, I don't care what anybody else in my life thinks. I'm all in. It's bold. It's bold. When I did that, man, my friends, man, they scattered like cockroaches in the light. It's disruptive to the way the world has for you. But right now, I'm asking you, I'm going to pray over you. I'm going to ask you to come stand up here in this front area if you're all in this morning, because I want to pray over you. And we're not going to have music because this is a bold statement. This is like a statement saying, I'm all in. So if you're all in, go ahead and come on up here. I want to pray over you this morning. Then we'll dismiss. Jesus had 12 guys who decided to be all in. And they changed the world. There's way more than 12 of you guys. The kingdom has come and the world is going to be changed. And it's going to be changed by you guys who make this choice today that I'm all in. I'm all in. God, I come to you right now, Lord. Humbled, so unbelievably humbled by your power and your presence. God, that you love us so much that you invite us into your kingdom. God, I thank you so much for the commitment. Look, God, with your eyes right now, God, these are the hands that are saying, I'm in, use me. God, these are the ones that are saying, here am I, send me, here am I, use me. I'm all in for you, God. God, right now, I speak blessing over every person standing here right now that's committed themselves to you. God, that they are blessed and they are not cursed. God, that we break all chains and bonds of every spirit and every contract made over them. God, that this point forward, they are totally given and submitted and surrendered to you. They are your children and no weapon formed against them can stand, God. And we believe with all of our heart that you are our King, you are our Lord, you are all powerful, and there is none as mighty as you, God, and that no one who comes against you can ever stand. God, the gates of hell may rise up against your church, but they cannot stand against it. God, I pray right now, power and authority in your Holy Spirit over every person standing here. God, that this morning you would commission every person standing here for every good work and every deed that you have for them, beginning right here, beginning their destiny right here with this commitment. God, we renounce every spirit of pride and fear in our lives, God, and we take back authority and we give and surrender our will to the will of Jesus as our Lord and Savior and as our God and as our King. God, we are no longer our own. We bow down and surrender to the will of Jesus to be used by Him as His instruments for this war in this kingdom movement, God, to change your world, to redeem your world. God, I just thank you. I thank you for the boldness to come before our friends and our families and God, to stand here before our enemies who want to steal our lives and kill us and destroy us. And God, I pray unity. I pray harmony. I pray peace. I pray love and joy, goodness, faithfulness. God, I pray self-control over every person standing here. God, right now, as we close this morning, God, I ask for a fresh anointing of your Holy Spirit on every person standing here. God, I pray for your hand to touch each person standing here. God, that they would right now know your voice and hear your voice. And God, I ask that you would speak their destinies and their dreams into their hearts right now. God, that you would start to guide our paths along the destiny you've established for us. God, I renounce the spirit right now that's lying to us and telling us that we have a destiny. God, our destinies we've created are our own. God, give us the courage and the boldness to change the destiny that we've established for ourselves and surrender and submit to your destiny right here, right now, in this moment. God, we give you all of our love. All of who we are is now yours. Take us each one and glorify your name. God, let your kingdom come and your will be done in our lives. God, I pray blessings over each individual. I pray blessings over each family. I pray for their children to the third and fourth generation, that this commitment right here is going to carry out to children, to grandchildren, to great-grandchildren. God, that your kingdom movement begins in this commitment right now. We are all in. In the name of Jesus, I pray every one of these things, and under the power and authority of Jesus, you are all commissioned to move into your destiny. Amen. Awesome. Guys, I want to just encourage you. Stand strong. We're going to meet again Wednesday night, so we've got that coming. Y'all just, man, it's beautiful. Even you, Chris. No, y'all guys, this is beautiful, man. It's awesome. I'm speechless, but